hurt my finger. Okay, what's going on, guys? Greg from East Coast Eyes, and today we have a new review for you. This is the Stringking Mark III V. We're really excited to get our hands on this. Love the guys out west. Also thinking of them right now with the wildfires going on. They are based in LA, so hopefully everyone at Stringking is safe. Got the third generation of their Mark heads. I like the simplicity they've always gone with here. And again, this is a startup that started around the same time as ECD. So we always have a lot of love for the guys at Stringking. So we've got two colors here. I don't have the white one, and a original 2V to compare it to. So going down some of the basic stats, the unstrung cost is $119.99, up from $89 with the Mark II-V. That's definitely getting on the more expensive side of heads. That's where the Ion is, and also a couple of the Warrior heads. But a lot of heads are just moving up in price that way. This is the V version, which stands for versatile. And then I think they're gonna have, I think they mentioned the Mark III-D was gonna be up next. The weight on this is just under 4.4 ounces, right on or just under, depending on the color I was weighing. And then in my original Mark II-V review, I said it was 4.7 ounces, but I reweighed this one today and it was just over 4.4. So these can change a lot with like humidity and the conditions that they sit in. Plus this one's been sitting in our warehouse for and this is a crazy stat. The Mark II-V review was in 2017, which is 7 years ago now. So they went 7 years from the 2V to the 3V, which is crazy. That's got to be the longest time any lacrosse company's ever gone between generations of heads. So good for them. They took their time on it. So we lost a little bit of weight in the 3V, and we're going to discuss the differences. So right off the bat, the big one you're going to notice is the struts. The 3V has technically 4 struts, which is not something you see a lot in a head that's geared toward offense. They're very vertical and evenly distributed, and there's not a lot to them. They're very thin, but they kind of provide a uniform stiffness down the head, where the 3V only had 3 struts. Now I will say that it's pretty much the same exact design. You can see there was kind of a strut here. All they did was cut that window out. So has a very similar look. I don't think it's off-putting with the 4 struts, even though it's not what you're used to seeing on an offensive head. And you've got these kind of square windows since there's not a lot of angle to them. Other changes in the string holes. Sidewalls are basically the same. They have their signature ton of string holes. I don't know the number, 29 or some very large number. Same bottom string holes where they've got 6 or 7, 5 and 2, that's 7. And then the top string, they added a couple more between. You might use one of these, but I think mostly it was for weight savings. Other notable change is the throat. It always felt like the 2V was a really big head. It was a little wider, it was a little chunkier, and had a really long throat. So now overall, the 3V feels a lot smaller. They tightened up the face shape a little bit, has slightly more pinch, kind of right through this region, which I think a lot of people wanted. The 2V was a little wider, and they also shortened the throat significantly. So looking at them next to each other, kind of lining them up, it's a lot shorter and just feels like a more reasonable size lacrosse set. It doesn't feel so big. Other than that, they kept their signature scoop return intact, which helps with ground balls. They've always had a nice scoop. It also helps kind of snap the ball out. You will notice when you shoot with their V series of heads that they do have a little more whip, just because that scoop is returning the ball and kind of snapping it out at a slightly different angle. So it's something you might need to get used to. Final thing, they do their locking bolt. So it's a threaded bolt that goes through the front, through the shaft, and has the bolt that goes on the other side and locks it down securely. Slightly new design. Used to have a diamond, now they've got a rectangle. And they also provide a little plug if you don't want to use that. Same ball stop as always. The one thing I like about the Mark line, it's very simple. They've got a new plastic here that helps with warping and stiffness, but they didn't bother to come up with like some crazy name like Ultra Force Plastic Tech. It just says new plastic to help with stiffness and warping. And it's just kind of a no-nonsense head from top to bottom. Simple naming, 3V. Everything's very straightforward, no frills, which I've always liked about the Stringking heads. So here we've got one strung up. This is the bone version. The natural color of the plastic. Got our South Beach Hero 4 in this one with some stack shooters. And it always takes me a minute to adjust to stringing a Stringking head, because our heads have pretty much all of them now 20 string holes, and I'm very used to that pattern. So I found that at the top, skipping 3 holes between knots was a great distribution to get the channel nice and tight, and then mixing in just a couple more skips that I'm used to at the bottom. So the first 1 or 2, take some calculations to get your spacing right, but it really strings a nice pocket. The way the head is shaped both top and bottom rail, nice and even with the curve, is designed for a great mid pocket. That little bit of pinch helps get the channel a little bit tighter than it did in the 2V. And overall, I think it turned out really nice. So really cool to see them come out with a new head after 7 years. And I think you can look forward to the D and the A coming up pretty soon. So if you have any questions, leave them down in the comments. I'll be happy to answer them. We have a lot of reviews lined up, so stay tuned. I think the next one, Winston has a box behind him that's empty, but we're gonna do the Prism as well, which I know is gonna be a controversial review. That's just gonna be a shot of a cardboard box. Did that look good?
Yeah.
We're gonna do the Prism. I know you guys wanna hear our thoughts on that. So thanks for watching. Subscribe if you have not, and have a great day.
Nice, good wrap, great execution.